Chapter 3 Guidelines by Gurudev. There was another event of my childhood which further emboldened my spirit of courage. There was an old sweepress who was suffering from diarrhea and had festering wounds. She used to cry bitterly, but being an untouchable, nobody entered her house. I consulted a physician about her treatment, arranged for the medicines, and started attending on her and nursing her regularly. I also arranged for her food. 65 years ago, it was considered to be an offense on the part of a high caste person to enter the house of an untouchable, treat her, and wash her dirty clothes. I was ostracized. Family members too did not allow me to enter the house. I used to lie outside on the platform and eat whatever was given to me, but did not give up serving the sick woman. This went on for 15 days and she became well. She always addressed me as Bhagwan, so long as she was alive. In those days, at the age of 13, I was all alone. The whole village, including members of my own family, were against me. I kept up my courage of conviction and did not give in. Courting arrest several times during the freedom struggle, taking the vow of performing 24 Mahapurusharans, treating and serving the sweepress were all tough tests to which I was subjected in my very childhood. I simultaneously fought on two fronts, against internal weaknesses and against pressures from relatives. This gave me an opportunity to awaken and strengthen my potential spiritual strength. I was greatly benefited from these tests and trials, and all my programs continued progressing towards fulfillment. The series of Mahapurusharans went on regularly. A lighted Ghrit lamp was installed the very day on which sadhana was started. The responsibility of keeping it lit uninterruptedly was taken up by my wife, whom I called Mataji. It required to be looked after constantly lest it got extinguished. This lamp has been burning uninterruptedly since then. When I meditate sitting in front of the flame of this lamp, the mind gets flooded with divine light and warmth. When there is a knotty riddle which cannot be solved by ordinary wisdom, the bright rays of this constantly lighted lamp resolve it instantly for me. Jap, repeating the mantra quietly by way of adoration of 66 malas, that is rosary, symbolic worship of the picture of Gayatri Mata by water, flowers, rice, incense, lighted lamp and naivedya, that is offering of sweets, meditation of rising sun, that is savita, at the time of jap and offering of libation to the sun, Suryarghadan, at the end. This was the daily routine which was adopted by me. No bij-mantra or samput etc. of tantrik system was added. With the picture of Gayatri Mata installed before me, my heart used to get flooded with intense faith and devotion, and it appeared as if the mother was sitting before me in person. Sometimes I felt inclined to shed tears of intense love and joy by hiding my face in mother's ancal. During this period of daily worship and meditation, there was never an occasion when my mind did not get instantly absorbed in inner concentration and identification with the deity of my devotion. Had it not been for the ring of the alarm watch, I could not have felt inclined to come out of that state of trance. Never was there any interruption in this routine of sadhana. This also applied to study for which no separate time was set apart. Often, I was required to walk and cover long distances in connection with the work of Indian National Congress. I used to stop reading only when there was any meeting or program. I used to read while walking. My speed of reading books had been 40 printed pages per hour. I used to get at least 2 hours daily for reading. Thus, at the rate of 80 pages a day, I could read about 2,400 pages in a month, 28,800 pages in a year, and 17.5 lakh pages over the past 60 years. Besides, reading has been as easy for me as taking food or bath, and I could curiously skip through about 3,000 pages daily. This routine has been going on for the last 60 years, during which innumerable pages of books on subjects of my interest have been read. After the completion of Mahapurushcharans, I found more time which I devoted to studying several books and manuscripts in different libraries. This became an invaluable treasure for me. I did not read a single page for recreation. All that I read was mastered with a view to acquiring proficiency in the particular subject. While writing any article or discussing any matter, I could at once recall subjects which I had already read. In my absence, people used to say that I was a mobile encyclopedia. Readers of Akhand Jyoti are amazed when they find references to so many books, journals, and magazines. The same thing applies to Yug Nirman Yojana and Yug Shakti Patrika. The secret is that I have read with utmost concentration whatever has been useful for me to gain mastery of the subjects of my interest. So all relevant references suddenly appear in my mind at the appropriate time. This, in fact, is the miracle of concentrated sadhana. There was a primary school in the village of my birthplace. From the point of view of formal education, I studied only in that school. Sanskrit is part and parcel of our family traditions. My father and brothers were eminent scholars of Sanskrit. Giving discourses on ancient scriptures and priesthood were our ancestral profession. I thus acquired adequate knowledge of Sanskrit at home. I have taught Sanskrit to students up to the standard of Acharya, though I do not possess any degree. The story of studying other languages is interesting. I started writing English words in jail on a shallow iron pan, tasla, by using pebbles as pencil. I could lay my hand on an English newspaper leader in jail and started reading English. I used to consult my colleagues, and in about a year's time, when I was released from jail, I had acquired fairly good knowledge of English. Every time during my journey to the jail, my vocabulary of English increased due to mutual discussions, and gradually I learnt grammar also. In return, I taught my jailmates Sanskrit and idiomatic Hindustani. Magazines, journals, dictionaries, etc. of other languages have always remained my basic sources of learning other languages. Gayatri has been called goddess of wisdom. I cannot say anything about others, but I myself have been miraculously benefited by her worship. Even professors in Hindi have received considerable guidance from my articles in Akhand Jyoti, in which Sanskrit words have been used predominantly. I have a feeling of inner upliftment, and people are amazed to find that despite my remaining extremely busy in sadhana, etc., so much knowledge could be acquired. The credit for all this goes to Mahapragya, the supreme divine intelligence. Although I participated in Satyagraha launched by the Congress in compliance with the directions from Gurudev, in the beginning I did not understand its significance. When I was given one sankalp of doing sadhana for 24 years, why was this period split up into two portions of 5 and 19 years? When thousands of persons were engaged in Satyagraha movement, participation or non-participation by one more person should not have mattered much. Gurudev had guessed my dilemma at the time of my meeting with him, and his divine voice had given the guideline. Yug Dharma has its own importance. It should be considered as a need of times, and one should rush to fulfill it, leaving aside all other work, just as water has to be rushed to the site of fire. In days to come, you have to undertake several works of public contact, and you will not get better opportunity than this to establish contacts with different strata of society. You will also get an opportunity for rehearsal of the experience gained in previous births and of the lessons learned in your early age. They are not important from the point of view of personal gain, but they answer a need of the times. Gurudev continued, in practical life, you are to be taught 4 lessons of wisdom, honesty, responsibility, and courage. These help in the inner growth of the soul and develop brilliance of intellect. With a view to developing the talents required for execution of your future plans of action and also to hone up the instruments needed for the purpose, your participation in India's freedom struggle is essential. It is not pertinent to discuss here as to what I did for the country, how much I suffered, and how I discharged the duties and responsibilities which were entrusted to me. Anybody interested to know about it may read the book Freedom Fighters of Agra Division, published by the Information Department of Uttar Pradesh government. In those days, I was known by the name of Sri Ram Matta. The important thing that needs to be understood is the purpose underlying this particular direction of Gurudev. During those 10 years of my active participation in freedom struggle, I interacted with people of different nature in and outside the jail. In those days, mass awakening was at its highest peak. I came in contact with several brave, courageous persons with firm determination, and I learned many useful lessons from them. It took me less than a couple of years to learn the art of winning over supporters, co-workers, appreciators for the stupendous task of revolutionary moral reawakening that was the primary aim and mission of my life. It would not have been possible for me to learn these lessons even by touring the country extensively on my own. Family attachments, feelings of mine and thine were got rid of, and I lived a happy life even in adverse circumstances. This created self-confidence. The most important gain was that I developed the attitude of a volunteer, which has helped me to remain humble even at this late stage of my life. The surprise as to why I was directed to perform Mahapurusharans in 2 phases was thus removed by my experiences of the freedom struggle. The Indian National Congress was established about a century back, but the Congress in which we worked was altogether different from what it is now, and I had peculiar experiences while working in it. Effortlessly, I got an opportunity to establish contacts with several eminent persons. I always conducted myself as a disciplined volunteer. So, whenever any volunteer was needed to serve eminent leaders, I used to be pushed forward in view of my young age. From these contacts, I imbibed many virtues and also got the opportunities of living with Gandhiji in Sabarmati Ashram and with Vinobaji in Pavnar Ashram. Others went to these great personages for their darshan, but to me, the insights provided by these contacts proved to be celestial boons. In 1933, the annual session of Indian National Congress was held in Calcutta. In those days, the Congress was considered an anti-government organization. People were arrested and police firing was resorted to on flimsy pretexts. Delegates who were considered important enough were arrested at Burdwan station and sent to a special jail at Asansol, which was originally made by the East India Company for Europeans. I was also arrested along with my 3 colleagues of Agra district. Eminent persons like Madan Mohan Malviji, Devdas Gandhi, Sarup Rani Nehru, mother of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Rafi Ahmed Kidwai, Chandra Bhanu Gupta, Kanhaiya Lal Khadiwala and Jagan Prasad Rawat were with us in the jail. Malviji used to address us daily in the evening throughout our stay there. Malviji and Mata Swarup Rani used to treat all of us like their children. One day Malviji emphasized in his speech that we should beg a paisa from every man and a handful of food grains from every woman to spread the message of our movement so that they may realize that the Congress was their organization and that the freedom struggle was their own struggle being run with their cooperation and contributions. This thing might not have been important for others, but I took serious note of it. The Rishis of yore maintained themselves, their gurukuls and aranyaks on public alms, that is bhiksha. It had been pointed out to me by Gurudev that I was to take up an important assignment in hand. I had been wondering where from the money will come for this purpose. In jail, I got the clue. After my release, I applied this formula while launching important projects of moral and social upliftment and transformation. Amounts running into crores have been spent on these projects through willing and volunteer contributions, minimum of 10 paisa or a handful of grains per person per day, from lakhs and lakhs of well-wishers and friends of the mission. Like Gayatri and Gangotri, Congress had been the fount of my life's course. However, after independence, I concentrated only on those tasks which could contribute to the fulfillment of political freedom. Politicians look after the political and economic affairs of the country, but far more important and crucial is the moral, intellectual, and social transformation of the society to usher in an era of true equality, fraternity, freedom, and harmony. This can be accomplished by persons and organizations committed to deeper values of life. This is the task dearest to my soul. Except for wearing khadi, I withdrew myself from active participation in all other programs of the Congress from the day of independence. This had the blessings of Bapu and the sanction of my divine guide. When friends sent me a form for accepting pension for having worked as freedom fighter for about 20 years, I plainly declined to avail of the offer. Eminent persons of those days who are still alive would testify that when the time for rewards came, I withdrew behind the curtain. All the aforesaid 3 assignments were accomplished with utmost dedication and concentration. In between, I also visited the Himalayas when summoned by Gurudev. During the 2 visits before independence, I was kept in the Himalayas only for 6 months each time. I was told that the work of the Congress was important from the point of view of attainment of freedom, and so my sojourn for 6 months each time would be enough. It is not necessary to mention here what I was told and what I was required to do during these sojourns. There are events and happenings even of my work-a-day visible surface life which I consider miraculous and acts of divine grace. And my heart is filled with deep gratitude and humility when I recall them. Love, love, love is my mantra. Soul kinship, affection, loving kindness and unshakable faith constitute my upasana. In future, I will not only share my insights and thoughts with Parijans, but will shower my deep, heart-moving affection on them. Maybe they will then feel a sense of sublime joy and rapture within themselves. Rest assured that the debt that I owe to my Parijans will be repaid. I do not desire either heaven or liberation. I ardently pray to God that I may be again put through the whole cycle of 84 lakh life forms as a blade of grass, a blooming flower, a tree, a sheep, a cow, etc., so that I am able to amply discharge the debts I owe to my parijans who have showered on me their gifts of love, affection, reverence, faith, goodwill, and understanding. Sometimes I wish I become a heavy laden cloud and could repay each drop of these gifts with showerful of rain. I do not know whether, and if so, how far these ardent aspirations of mine will be fulfilled. I can only assure my parijans that their love will never be forgotten. My life, its legacy and message. हमारी वसीयत और विरासत. Author Shri Ram Sharma Acharya.
If you found this video helpful, then please like, comment and share it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel Rishi Chintan. Please press the bell icon so that you will receive notifications of our upcoming videos. Thank you.